How sweet it is to be loved by you nerds. What is up? It's me, your buddy pal, HeyArcher. Welcome back to HeyArcher Live on Nerd Affiliated, your weekly Thursday chill nerd out time where we sit back, we relax, we talk Star Wars, we talk Book of Boba Fett, we talk UFC, we talk so many fun things together. But most importantly, talk about what it is that you want to talk about. So, if you're new here, don't forget to like, comment down below, whether you're watching the replay, you're watching it live, comment down below, interact with one another. Always started on that one. I don't know why. And of course, if you have a YouTube channel, you got a podcast, you got a blog, you got a newspaper, whatever it may be, put it down below in the comments. Support one another. I realize this thing is in the way, so I'll adjust that as we go. But we have today Matt in the house from For Those of Good Taste. So before you even get a chance to talk to the man, make sure that you head over to For Those of Good Taste on YouTube and drop them a subscribe, a like, head to Instagram, drop them a follow, all that fun stuff. I'm going to go ahead and put their link in the chat for all of you. And maybe there's even a way I could pin this. I'm not even sure. I'll figure it out as we go, but that's all right. And we will proceed. But, I didn't even start us off right. You know that every episode, I hope that at the very least, you can pour yourself, if for nothing else, I said if for nothing else, just a little bit of,
more specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Oh yes. So, I missed it. I missed the drum roll at the end. I let you down, Matt. I let you down. I am a terrible friend. So without further ado, let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend himself. Matt in the house. Sir, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm living the nerd dream right now. I'm on HeyArcher Live, and we're hoping to make this a fun one.
Yes. Oh, it will be for sure. It's funny. I've felt the pressure. Hang on. There may be a quick echo there. I just want to make sure I put your link in the chat for everybody. Lenny one time made a comment and he was like, I like how you always time the drum roll at the end of that song. And ever since he said that, now I think about it every single time. And I'm like, I gotta nail it. And go figure, today's the one I don't nail it. Unbelievable.
The bar was set too high, man. Once they start putting that type of pressure on you, everything that seems normal, that just comes to you naturally, just doesn't work for you anymore, man. We gotta tell these people to shut their mouths.
Before we proceed, let's say hello to the chat. EJ in the house. Correct. It's been a long time. We've not seen you. Good to see you. Hope the travels are well. Aaron Waller, the living legend himself, in the house. Good to see you.
What's up, Aaron?
Wonderful. There you go. Got your your glass of Jack ready to go. Love it. Sir, it's been a while since we've been on the show. So many fun things have come out. So real quick, why don't you remind everybody what you got going on your side of the YouTube space?
Oh, well, honestly, man, it feels like we've got too many plates spinning at this point, but you can always catch us on the YouTube channel at For Those With Good Taste. We're on the socials, on Instagram at For Those With Good Taste. Catch us on the Twitter at Good Taste Live. And honestly, man, we're just in there every week, jumping in and out of the studio, having fun with our weekly episodes, where we talk pretty much about everything, man. It's a whole, wild shenanigan roundup pretty much in one go. So try to have a good time and try to mix in some fight talk, try to mix in some movie talk. But honestly, it's just an opportunity for Lenny to get off his sick jokes.
And hobbies with Jose, good to see you, of course. There we go. Yeah, something I always appreciate is that you guys pretty much talk about everything I am interested in. Like you always seem, you hit the Marvel, you hit the Star Wars, throw in the MMA. And the other funny thing is, I actually have not watched a UFC fight. I don't know about you guys in the chat. I've not watched a UFC fight probably in best case 2 years. It's been about 2 years since I actually sat down and watched a fight. But
my question to you, Arch, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Was that the Yoel Romero Israel Adesanya fight?
Didn't even see that one. Still haven't seen that fight. I still haven't seen that fight. It's embarrassing. But
it's not fair.
I keep up with everything because of you guys and Ariel Helwani. That's the only way I stay in touch with. Oh, and of course Twitter, where they're always bashing Tito Ortiz and a couple other people. But that's the only way I stay up to date now.
Yeah, I mean, if it weren't for us, I feel like the UFC would be completely out of business. So anytime we can get lumped in with Ariel Helwani, I'll take it, man. I think we're probably on the good graces of the UFC a little bit more than Ariel does, so I'll take that as well. I think Senor over there in Russia is in better standing with the UFC than Ariel Helwani, if I had to label it. So we'll talk about all that stuff. We'll talk about Marvel and all that. Since you guys filmed, I'm curious, have you seen the Batman yet? Or are you still waiting? No, I'm not like Lenny. Somehow Lenny always gets invited to these like dark alley showings, and he tells me that they're investor showings, and I'm like, how much are you investing that they invite you to a new movie every other Monday or Tuesday? But I am hoping to catch it this weekend. Got a couple things on the docket, but it is one of the films that if you've watched the episode this week, we're definitely excited for it. So I'm looking forward to jumping in there and catching it before we get it back into the studio next week.
Yeah. And everybody in the chat, let us know if you're excited for it. Sorry.
And now I've had a chance to catch a couple of your episodes, and I asked this question with a little bit of hesitancy.
Yeah.
Is this something that you're going to get out into the theaters and catch?
That's a very valid question. Very valid question. I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it. I have an obligation to the nerd space, the YouTube nerd space, to see it. Now, here's the thing. I was all the way pumped for this movie when that first trailer dropped, however many months ago that was. The scene of him in the hallway with the bullets ricocheting off of him and all that stuff was just mint. Absolutely mint. And then myself, Aaron Waller, Anthony Sal, we're all talking about like how whenever there's an overload of trailers, that's usually my like hesitant moment. They didn't do the what's up, Billy? Good to see you. They did not do my red flag, which is show a clip of the movie, which a movie you saw did, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But they didn't do that, so I was like, all right, maybe they're just pushing hard because they know the track record for DC is not good. But I don't know a single person that's seen it so far that has a bad thing to say. So I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, you and I both know one of the biggest critics out there. I am interested to get some other people's opinions, but my number one source for whether or not a movie is good lets me know that there's plenty of things to look forward to. He even gave me some insight into how I should take in the film. So yeah. I'm going to do my due diligence that way, make sure that I catch the right theater, set the right mood, and I'm hoping that this film lives up to the expectations.
But that's where I got spoiled, and we're talking about Lenny, correct? Just to be sure here.
Could we be talking about anybody else?
Fair. That's fair. Lenny, for everybody who's watching, is actually I was gonna DM him because I was gonna go see it potentially on Tuesday, and that used to be our thing to go on Tuesdays. But yeah, he's a purist. If you want to know like the best way to watch a movie, he's gonna tell you whether it's like the Dolby, whether it's IMAX, whether it's just go to regular. Like he worries about it to that level, which is good. We need those in the world. But we both know where we all work at or used to work at, and I set up my house, man. I feel like at this point I don't miss out by watching at home versus being in the theater. Like the only thing I miss is like I feel like when I'm in the theater I'm fully focused on it, versus at home, I'll probably be on my phone, maybe on my computer. I'll stop, you know, like that kind of interruption happens. That's the only thing I can't replicate. But everything else, I don't know. I feel like, especially the other day where AMC said they want to surcharge certain movies, I'm like,
oh yeah,
I'm kind of done with it, man.
And that's understandable. I think cinemas haven't really done themselves any favors. Like, people have had opportunities to sit home and really create that amazing viewing experience that everybody wants to tailor for themselves. Shooting yourselves in the foot by charging extra for a movie that's really, you know, highly anticipated.
Yeah.
You're not doing yourselves, again, any favors. But I would say that that's the one thing that the movie theater experience is going to offer you, something that we just can't get at home. And it's that ability to maybe just unplug from the world that's around us.
Mm-hmm.
I am notoriously known for passively watching things that I should be actively paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the movie theater, you know, for all it is, you know, a car payment and whatnot, it is worth it, taking in that experience the way that it's supposed to be.
That's the truth. That thing does feel like a car payment at this point. The movie I was going to talk about that broke my rule, that you guys are the first ones I've heard that actually enjoyed it. And chat, let me know. Uncharted. You guys seem to have had no issue with Uncharted, unless you were just kind of riding that high. But it seemed like you had no issue with the movie, and they broke rule number one. They showed an entire scene of the movie in the trailers, just as a release on YouTube. But you guys seem to enjoy it. So now that it's a couple days since you filmed, you know, you still feel the same way? What are your thoughts? Do you want a second one?
I'll preface it with this. I think that we were trying to be fair to a film that, to me, just hasn't gotten a fair shake. You know, we pulled up the Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
scores,
accurate.
I think at the time, there was a 40% like tomato score, and then it's a 90% audience score.
Yeah.
So I just wonder what the disconnect is there to have such a disparity between those two percentages. And then, you know, again, Lenny is a fair critic. I will not say many things about him that give him his credit, but he is a fair critic. And when someone says, I genuinely enjoyed that you were able to take the source material, make me care about the characters, make me want to continue watching this film, because I believe it's just south of 2 hours.
Wow.
It does a good job. To your point, the one knock on them is they showed a end credit scene as part of the trailer. And
you mentioned that.
That's a sin. That's cardinal sin. I don't know what number you want to call it, but I think that that's something that you just can't do, and that kind of puts a damper on it for me. But the movie, all in all, between Tom Holland, between Mark Wahlberg, Antonio Banderas, like, I didn't even know he was still making films, at least not good ones.
Come on, he was in Expendables 3. What are you talking about, dude?
See, you lost me at Expendables 3. I didn't get past the second one, I think.
Whoa! You know, wait. Now I'm noticing the trend. Lenny, I'm noticing the trend. This man here, over here, seems to have a beef with Sylvester Stallone. That's what I'm starting to kind of feel. I lost you at Expendables 3, and you've not seen one of the greatest movies of all time, Daylight. And that's a problem.
Oh, I knew this was coming.
That's a problem.
Oh, what would you like me to address, Archer? The man, again, you can barely understand what he says after that. You gotta go win the fight. You injured. Come help me out of the ring. I don't understand how everybody thinks this guy is so talented. Now, I will give him his credit to look as good as he does. I bet you he doesn't pass a piss test, but to still be out there doing it, I just don't think I'm going to go back and start rewatching films from the 90s, especially if Sylvester Stallone's your selling point. I can't go back to it. And out of respect for you, I may consider watching Daylight, seeing as how Lenny's already killed me off.
You need to really watch that movie. But I just want to take you somewhere real quick, because we're here at the SlyStalloneShop.com, and, you know, I've been really big into the collecting these days. He's got this masterpiece coming out.
Goodness.
You know, and the price tag is a little bit extreme. I will not doubt that. The price tag is a bit up there. But wow. I mean, if we're going to talk about things to get, I mean, look at this thing. It's amazing. One of the greatest
So
movies ever.
that's not a lifelike. Oh no, that's not him. Okay, that's an action figure.
Actually,
okay, I thought
exactly.
that was him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 12-inch figure. It's going to come with different accessories, the jacket, the mixed material. I mean, come on. It has the knife holster. It's got the survival knife, and you can detach the top of the handle to show where he had the gunpowder when he healed his wound.
I thought you were going to tell me that you could detach the very Karen-like haircut that he has from the 70s. Like, that's not a modern-day Karen. That's what they call a 1970s Karen right there.
He has the 1970s gym teacher look going on.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got the whole look going on. I mean, if you put that guy in some gym shorts, a T-shirt that cuts off at his belly button, he'd pull it together, I'm telling you.
Shout out Know Your Craft. Patrick in the house. Drive safe, brother. So Lenny's saying you have a beef with just classic 90s action stars. Is that...
Oh.
No?
I'm not going to disagree with that flat out. What I will say is that, and again, another credit to Tom Holland, I think 1990s action films were all about being big and buff.
Sure.
And, you know, for that average Joe, it's really cool to see a guy who's 5'6" get a hot girl to be his girlfriend and sling some webs. So that's pretty cool for me. But on the side of Uncharted, you know, when we talk about, I'm trying to keep it spoiler free here, but when we talk about a lot of the scenes that I think Tom Holland's really just able to show his prowess as an action star, it's not about being the biggest dude out there. It's about being able to get it done. And that's what he does time and time again. So maybe 90s action stars just got to show a little bit of wit and put their tits away.
So I would say that, yes, Tom Holland is currently on that path. I think before him, you even had a Chris Pine. Not Chris Pine. It's too many Chris's.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, Chris Pratt. I like how you knew where I was going already. He was kind of doing that. Before that, you had the Brendan Fraser. But of course, the man who crawled so they all could run, in my opinion, Jackie Chan. The first big action star, no muscles, no nothing. Get hurt, get beat up. Shout out Jackie Chan.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't want to respect Jackie Chan, that man finished, I think it's Mr. Nice Guy or Rumble in the Bronx with a broken ankle.
Yeah.
You know, bust his ankle in the first like 20 minutes of the movie. So shout out to the guys who are getting it done without all the big muscles and need to have people sub in for them when the big action really comes in.
Rock. Sorry.
Oh, don't get me started on him, man. You want to talk about what are you, content fatigue? I feel like I can't turn anything on without this guy showing me his tits, you know? I think I watched the Super Bowl and I watched football so that I don't have to deal with The Rock. There was a reason why he didn't make it as an NFL player. I hate the fact that, you know, we got to watch him for 5 minutes before the biggest event of the year. Yeah.
You actually sparked a thought there. Do you have any interest in Black Adam? Have you watched that like featurette that they have released?
I'm looking for the boo button, but I can't seem to find it. Black Adam's an interesting one because I will watch it. I think at this point I'm already committed to everything that DC and Marvel have to offer.
Right.
Throw Star Wars in there as well.
Right.
My issue with it is that I don't like the fact that we're parading him around like he's part of the hero universe. We even did a preview of DC's like movies coming in 2022, 2023, and you know they're like, this is the year of the hero, and it's like, well, you shouldn't be there because Black Adam's not a hero. Like whether you want to tag him as an anti-hero, anti-villain, it doesn't work right now. For this to be an introductory movie, you're not on Superman's level, you're not on Batman's level, you're not even on Shazam's level at this point. So I don't like the fact that he gets just thrust to the forefront on any project that he's a part of.
Yeah.
Let's address what it is. He's not a good guy, and he probably shouldn't be acting like a good guy.
Yeah. No, and that's something that we talked about on, it might have been Rambling or one of the shows where, you know, I think he looks good in the role for sure. Like seeing the costume, his build, I'm like, yes, he truly was built for this, but they cannot follow at all the Marvel blueprint, which, you know, they've kind of teeter-tottered a bit, and we'll talk about Peacemaker in a little bit, but, you know, they can't follow that blueprint because Black Adam is not a good guy at all. There's no redemption. nothing. He's got to truly be a POS to make it land.
And shout out to Anthony. I know he's not a fan of bad guys being put into good light, so
Yeah.
I know that strikes a bug with him. So yeah, boo to The Rock. I would actually sign or create a petition saying let's get him out of the DC universe because I'm tired of his shit.
Yeah. But somebody who I thought I'd be tired of his shit, and yet apparently I'm not. Apparently none of us are. John fucking Cena. Peacemaker. Dude, your thoughts, please.
I mean, where do we start? We could start with him getting hugged by an eagle. That's a great place to start. I didn't think that could look any cooler than it did. Somehow he pulled it off.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a guy who never misses an opportunity to either A, show us his underwear, or B, have those, those big pecs out. He does it. And I think if you go into Peacemaker with the right expectations, it is kind of I don't want to say it's a knockout of a show, but it does kind of check all the boxes. It has the humor. It introduces some funny characters, some new characters. And I think we can all agree that Vigilante, I need some more of them. Give me some more.
Yeah.
And those two together, between him and John Cena, I just think they did a great job of pulling the show together. From top to finish, I think Economos was a great character. I think Adebayo, I remember, and her name escapes me right now, but I remember her from Orange is the New Black and really just kind of coming into her own as an actress. To see her go hand in hand or toe to toe with John Cena and have them come together in the end, it's a great show for me. But what were your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, just to pull this up real quick, and I realized by mistake I have you down as Sal on this overlay. So let me turn that off.
Practical Jokers.
Let's see. Going back.
I'm pretty sure I'm funnier than that guy, so this works.
So yeah. Vigilante, out of nowhere. Robert Patrick, I guess I'll
steals it. Yeah.
I'll refrain slightly from spoilers just in case, but I am so mesmerized by his story of, he lands the T-1000 role, nails it.
Oh man.
And people try to typecast him from that period where you're like, oh, you're going to play, Robot 1, Alien 1, Alien 2, whatever. And what he did to break out of that mold was, I'm going to gain weight and look like a bag of shit. Like, that's what he did purposely. When I looked at him in this role, I was like, I forgot he was T-1000. Like, he completely disconnected from that. But I mean, Judo Master, Daniel Brooks is her name. There we go.
There you go. Nailed it.
They got you to care about every character that came across. Graybeard, for God's sake. Like, the cops.
Guybeard. Guybeard. Best ongoing joke throughout the show, to have the best payoff possibly of the entire series. Yeah. Loved it, but continue.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It was their ability to get everybody here. Actually, the girlfriend and I were just watching an explanation video for the latest Star Trek Discovery, and the guy was saying how what he likes about the show is they're doing classic Star Trek, where everybody on the bridge has something to do, like they're not just there. And I thought this show nailed that. Like, everybody on the show, even the cops, like when some of them died, I actually was like, fuck, I wanted them to continue. I actually liked them. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some moments where, and they make it pretty evident really early, and I'm gonna 3, 2, 1 spoiler real quick just in case. But how the butterflies, come to be and how they come to take over their host, instilling that, and then being able to kind of get you to like characters that you had no idea could possibly be taken away from you. Right. The lead cop, I think, character named Sophie is, a great character. She's able to go head to head with Robert Patrick on most of the racism stuff, which is hilarious. Yeah. But then she has her moment where, something bad happens and you're like, pissed. Oh no, that's it. And just the idea that that person's gone forever, it's kind of tough to deal with, but you can understand why they did it.
Yeah. No, I was generally pissed. I was like, God damn it. Like, actually, I was like, maybe there's some other thing they're going to say, like, oh, if it's not in your head for like more than 24 hours, like you're good or something like that. And the fact that they didn't go into that bag, I was impressed.
Quick question for you, Archie. So with the reveal of Myrn and how his character kind of gets developed throughout the series, was that something that you were able to see in the beginning, or was that a surprise for you?
Wait, which one was Myrn again?
Myrn is lead of the task force.
I knew there was going to be like the mole or the twist. Like I knew that would be in there. Did I think he was a butterfly? Not completely. I think because even at that point, we fully didn't know what the butterflies were until I think that same episode, if I remember. I thought it was going to be Graybeard. I thought it would have been cool if that was, the twist that, it's actually him, the one who's getting shit on the whole time. But it's funny, actually. Aaron Waller called it. Aaron Waller, I think, in his first watch, he was like, I feel like James Gunn's going to pull a Scooby-Doo. I guess he has something to do with Scooby-Doo as well. And make it so like there's aliens taking over people's bodies or something.
Oh, well, he nailed it then, because it was an interesting take on that type of concept, because we've seen it before. The Faculty is something that comes to mind. I feel like me and Lenny did that movie a ton of praise, and nobody's really paying attention. But that's another concept where, there's a queen bee, so to speak, or a leader that spreads everything. And then interesting concept with the cow. I thought that was a new twist that kind of adds a new dynamic to it, and gave them a little bit more purpose, because really early on I was concerned with where they were going to go with this show.
Right.
I think early on we all were. We were really interested in the characters and wanted them to be successful, but after Suicide Squad, we had no idea what Amanda Waller had cooking up or what she had planned. So to see this happening with the tie-in of her daughter being involved, I thought they did a great job of tying everything together.
Yeah. And I think it was on your show where you guys were talking about and we'll of course go into your shirt and what's on the glass here. But you mentioned something about, we've set this bar now where every time we go into a show, we expect, something up here. And I think with this show, I watched a couple people, not like it in the beginning and kind of turn halfway through. But I was like, this is that show. I get it now. Like when you said that, I was thinking back to how I felt watching other people's reviews after we reviewed it. And I'm like, you're really stretching on this. Like, just take it for what it is. It's just a fun, sit down. Like, my girlfriend had never even seen the second Suicide Squad movie. She had no idea who he was. But it was a fun standalone. You can sit down, laugh, enjoy it. And yeah, some things may have been predictable, but I think by the time the show was done, very little was predictable. It was just good time. Just an absolute good time.
And I didn't even care that it was predictable. That's kind of why I asked the Myrn question, was because I could kind of see it coming.
Right.
But the way that they played it off, the way that it's, correlates and develops the storyline, I was okay with it. I'm going to be okay with an action series that gives me shotguns to the face.
Yeah.
If that's the only option of being able to get rid of the plague, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And John, it's not overkill. It's a show that knows what it is and is able to execute it well without giving you too much comedic relief, without giving you too much heroism, so to speak, that we get a lot with the Marvel stuff, where it doesn't seem like the good guys can lose.
Right.
There was a part in this show where I was like, I don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
This stopped being very predictable to being something that has a plethora of options. And I think that that's something that helped it be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that people at the end of it were able to leave and say, this is a good show. Glad to see it's getting a second season.
This will be a great transition. But before we go to that, knowing your thoughts on wrestling, Did you watch WrestleMania just to see if he was going to come out as Peacemaker? Did that even enter your brain? Did you think about that?
No, so Lenny will tell you that I am not the imaginative sort when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah.
There are times where we'll watch an event and I'm still like, oh my God, what are they doing? This is crazy. I can't believe they're doing all this.
Yeah.
And Lenny's like, well, you'll be surprised what's going to happen at the end. And I'm like, wait, you know already? And he's like, yeah, man, there's a whole community that knows.
Yeah.
I'm pretty naive when it comes to that stuff. I had no anticipation that he would make a return. I usually kind of give Lenny the elbow and I'm like, hey, what's the big thing for me to look forward to this WrestleMania? And he'll usually give me the goods. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't something that came up. I was hoping that the next day I'd jump on social media and maybe we get a glimpse of a minute. But I guess it didn't happen. But I'm okay that they're able to keep those worlds separate. But I did notice that he made an appearance on, I think it was SmackDown, not too long after the series finale. So maybe he's going to mix both worlds. It should be interesting.
I just think it was such a missed opportunity. But I mean, that's Vince, right? Like, to me, that's, and this might be a Lenny conversation, but I know that dude's in his own bubble. He does whatever he wants. But I was like, man, that seems so obvious, because it was also the weekend of the finale. And I'm like, I would have made a deal with Warner Brothers. Like, hey guys, like, even if he doesn't wrestle, like, him just coming out, it would have been amazing. And he would have to be Peacemaker. Like, he couldn't be John Cena dressed as Peacemaker. Yeah. He would have to be Peacemaker.
He'd have to get into character, and the one thing that Vince just isn't good at doing, I feel like Vince is always chasing the next big thing. So like before he ever sees crypto, he's like, oh, NFTs. Like, I gotta get in on that. And it's not allowing something to build up that could have been something that he takes advantage of. But if it's not shining in gold and it's not Brock Lesnar in a beard and dreads or braids, then he's just like, nah, I can't do it.
He'll be in dreads soon enough. Don't worry about it.
I'm saying he's going for the Viking look, so it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, the bearded, the braids, the beard, and so you talked about predictable, you talked about quality, you talked about shutting the brain off. But let's talk about a franchise that nobody wants to do any of that with. Every time it comes out, it's got to be a banger. If it's not a banger, people got problems. Book of Boba Fett. You seem to be one of the few on the other side. You are to Book of Boba Fett what Aaron Waller is to Suicide Squad. You like it more than any human should, unless you're getting paid by Disney. So, by all means, please, the floor is yours. Your thoughts on Book of Boba Fett for everybody.
I'm taking a look around to see if there's any checks from Disney that I haven't cashed yet, but no, nothing yet. I think anybody that listens to Aaron Waller knows that man is a hard worker. He does his due diligence. So if he says that he likes something, I'm not going to argue with him. That being said,
I'll argue.
I heard the rambling with Anthony episodes. I love Anthony's charisma on the hate of this series. But for me, it was just very easy to, and I blame you for this, Steve. You came on our show, a while back, and you were like, we just don't give ourselves an opportunity to let things just sit and not be canon to enjoy them.
Right.
And that's for somewhat kind of changed my life. When I'm watching shows, I'm taking it with a very, very low expectation on no matter how excited I am to watch it.
Yeah.
And that's what the Book of Boba Fett was for me. Anthony and yourself mentioned, and I know Josh was on the episode as well, that you guys mentioned, when Boba shows up in The Mandalorian, it's badass Boba. It's everything that we wanted him to be. And for 6 minutes of airtime, whatever it is that you want to mention that he got, we got everything that people who've been waiting since Clone Wars to see a developed Boba, I think you get it. But what people are forgetting is if you watch the first season of The Mandalorian, I remember watching review videos and listening to podcasts and hearing people say things like, every episode doesn't make sense. Nothing ties in. To your point, everything has to be a banger.
Yeah. And
we were happy with some of the introduction of characters. We got Bill Burr. We got Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shand. And all of it happened, I think, really well.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everyone hated The Mandalorian season 1. Doesn't have a point. Where is it going?
Yeah.
Baby Yoda's ridiculous. Like, there's so many negative critiques to it. that by the time we got to season 2 and people finally got to enjoy some of the things that were happening, I just look back at it like, where was all the hate from season 1? Like, you didn't let those things develop and allow it to become something good.
Yeah.
The Book of Boba Fett is an origin story. I made the joke on our show, for all of the hate that this show gets, I would like to ask one person, what was your expectation? And if that person can say, I expected, Boba to come out and shoot everybody's balls off like Butters from South Park, I would have been like, okay, maybe that's not what it was.
Yeah.
But if you told me I need to know how Boba becomes a less venomous killer, I guess you could say, then this is exactly what you get. We see him kill Bib Fortuna in the season finale of The Mandalorian. And when we first get the introduction in episode 1, they immediately jump into his, I referenced Arrow, but they jump into the backstory, the island flashbacks.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought that was perfect because I don't think that there's enough happening right now that warrants 4 episodes of Boba Fett. I feel like if we had gotten that, people would have been like, oh, this is too much. I hate it. It doesn't tie into the storyline. What we did get from Book of Boba is we got the background between Fennec and Boba, which I think is extremely important because in The Mandalorian, it didn't make sense. Yeah, he saved her life, but a notorious killer, heartless killer, why does that make a difference? She'd probably go and get the next cab out and make her money.
Right.
This show, while it doesn't do it in the best light, it gives you those references. It helps you understand why she started to understand him a little bit more. And the thing that I love that I agree with Anthony on is that Boba Fett is a killer. At the end of this, his goal is to be the daimyo of Tatooine. But when the questions came up as to why Tatooine, Tatooine's a crap planet. It's not meant to be worth anything. Why wouldn't we want to see Boba start his empire there and try to be the good guy and then see it all blow up in his face, which this almost did happen. Like, if you're one Rancor away from complete annihilation. Bye-bye Mando, bye-bye Baby Yoda, everybody's gone. Right? Spoiler alert, sorry, I guess I should have said that. But when you look at it and you go episode by episode, as soon as you get to the Mandalorian episodes, we get Black Chrysanthemum. We get the mods, which I think are the low point of the show. I could certainly understand the hate on the mods.
Yeah.
There's a spin move where it doesn't actually change anything. He just spins and then shoots. Don't understand why we did that either. But Black Chrysanthemum, the Rancor, I'm never going to complain about getting Danny Trejo on TV ever. It gave us everything that I think we needed for Boba to start his empire.
Yeah.
And if Boba's empire has to start with him trying to be a nice guy and it just not working out, I'm okay with that. But I think the Tusken Raider arc, the build up to the Spice Runners coming through Tatooine, even the Cobb Vanth, I love how you guys were like, they did this man wrong.
Yeah.
I think it still plays very well to the future of Cobb Vanth. Maybe he doesn't have a part to play in this season.
Yeah.
But I think this show, and this is just a really long rant, the show just did a good job of making me actually care about a character that if you didn't watch the Clone Wars, which I have, but if you didn't watch the Clone Wars, what reference of character do you have for Boba Fett?
True.
Like he's got 7 minutes of screen time in the original trilogy, yet he's one of the most loved characters. Why? Because people like a guy who's badass and shoots people in the face. But because we didn't get that, we're quick to say that we hate the show, that we don't understand what Filoni and Favreau are doing. To me, they can't do any wrong. If this builds up to us getting Omega in live action, I mean, Cad Bane, the introduction of Cad Bane, I know that's something that you guys loved. That was a home run if I've ever seen one. It labeled everything from the duel to the tie-in to the Clone Wars. I think that this show, strip away the bad writing for some of the episodes, it's what it's supposed to be. It's Thor #1.
So so that point there, you're saying is like, this is going to be, I don't even know if it is, but the low point of the series. Like, and I feel like Thor 2 might be the low point. I'm not even sure, but
Yeah, Thor 2 is definitely the low point, but I think they built up to I think it was a good build up to what the Avengers came to be. I don't think I think if you take Dark World away from the Avengers franchise, it's still a terrible movie. So it's like, let's just do away with it, right?
Yeah.
But I think Thor 1, and then you jump to Avengers, and then you eventually get to Thor Ragnarok, and we just get a little bit of an origin story.
Yeah.
It's a good franchise.
Yeah.
This has to build up a little bit. And I think if you like Boba, you like the character development. I don't want to see a notorious killer because I've already kind of seen what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see why I should give a shit about you taking over Tatooine. Makes sense that you didn't want the spice running through. Makes sense that you're trying to unite a lost planet, lost country, lost nation. Especially when you think about the fact that he was almost dead. Tusken Raiders saved him. He led to their ultimate doom, which is what he thought. I think that this is a great origin story, and I think people have to treat it as such.
You make good points. I think looking back, you make good points as you were explaining it. I think, I'll address the what we expected type of thing. So you mentioned you watch Clone Wars. I watch Clone Wars. Some of you in the chat may have watched Clone Wars. Boba as a kid kind of sucks. Like he throughout, even as he got older, like wasn't the best at anything, but always had the best people around him. So I think they did nail that. If I look at Clone Wars and then I skip everything else and then watch Book of Boba Fett, like he wasn't the best fighter, not the best killer, but he had people around him who could do the job. Like if you look at those two, and again, those two have the same producer, writer in Dave Filoni. But because the middle exists, because most feared bounty hunter, because most dangerous gets the job done, because that lore is put in there through the comics, he went, we referenced it, how he went toe to toe with Luke Skywalker. I mean, he wasn't trained at that point, but he goes after Skywalker to figure out who shot down the Death Star. Like Vader, he was a number one to Vader. And the fact that that exists is what ruins the end part. Because you're like, there was a transition between the low and here in that middle. And then that part is where it's like, I wish I had a chalkboard to like draw the arrows. But I think that's the root of the problem, is we know where the reputation went. And Sal brought it up too. It was probably after the Tusken Raiders died. And Sal was like, maybe this show is going to take a direction where it's like the name is greater than the man, which I thought would have been a great concept. Like, I think if they even leaned into that, that would have been a great concept. But I think because they didn't, and were like, he's the badass, he's whatever, that's where a lot of us were, kind of pissed off. My biggest issue with the show, I understand what you meant about starting off in Tatooine, turning to be a good guy or whatever, but to me, none of that made sense. Like, fine, you're going to start in the backwater, most dangerous planet in the galaxy, like you said, the forgotten place or whatever. That's fine. But he wanted to, and they verbally kept saying he wants to be like Daimo, aka the head mafia guy there. He wants to be the Godfather, the Tony Soprano. Like, that's what he's going for. But every decision is the complete polar opposite. And that's where I was getting frustrated. I was like, you're telling me I'm Danny Rand, I'm the Iron Fist, and yet you've never thrown the punch. And that's where I think some of our frustrations came from.
I think that's understandable. And while I listened to your episodes with Anthony and Josh, extremely open-minded, I kept landing on the same, to your point, we were expecting him to be this badass because he wanted to be the daimyo or the warlord of this place. If we reference Boba from Clone Wars, Boba's never been a leader.
Right.
Boba
no,
was almost,
he's a leader. He's just not the best in the group.
This is what I'm saying, though. He's a leader, but to your point, he's not. I almost say it like he was the leader, but it's because he had a great team around him, right? Like I wouldn't say he was leading them from the front as so much as they're kind of pushing him from the back, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where he develops this ability to become a great killer, but he's always been solo. Him being with the Tusken Raiders, and there's even a line that he says to Fennec Shand where he says, "I'm done getting hired by people who are going to get me killed." He says, "We've had it all wrong. Tribe is where strength is in a tribe."
Yeah.
So I don't think that Boba's out there to be a good guy. And also, let's remember, Boba's not the center of the universe when it comes to Star Wars. Him being on Tatooine means that he's out of the way and can be called upon whenever need be. Him being the leader or the warlord of this forgotten planet simply just means that if he wants to have a horde of bounty hunters that he leads and, you know, trains and they become a family, almost like what Mando talks about Mandalore could have been had they had the right leadership outside of Bo-Katan. I feel like this is set up where Boba's gonna be the bad guy. Boba's gonna be the anti-villain or anti-hero in this story, and he's gonna fall on one side or another depending on what interests them. Fennec had a reaction to them wanting to shut down the spice trade, like, "Bitch, what you mean? That's a lot of money for us." For Boba,
sense.
He had the intention of moving spice, but he wasn't going to do it for the freaking Pikes. He was going to do it for himself.
Yeah.
When Mando says that the people of Mos Pelgo don't want to do that, it falls on him to be like, "Oh, well, okay, I guess I can kind of see the long-term solution for that." But do you think that that's law? I mean, Boba at the end of the day is daimyo. He can make whatever decisions he wants. But I think we have to allow this slow play of him trying to do it the right way to play out, because it only takes Fennec getting killed. It only takes his Rancor, which could have been murdered at least 4 or 5 different times in this finale.
Yeah.
It only takes that one bad move for this whole thing to turn the other way and he starts taking scalps.
Yeah. Nah, for sure.
You know?
I will always appreciate that they've been releasing constant content. I think where I'm at now is I want them to take more time, because I think if this show had a proper 2 years to be worked on, post The Mandalorian, like 1 year, split it up 1 year. And I know that there's like the whole, like, we got investors and all this stuff. We got to keep pumping out content. I get it. But, 1 year's animated, 1 year is live action. Don't try to combine 2 together. Split it up like the movies. Mando's this year. Next year is Bad Batch. Year after that, Book of Boba Fett. After that, animated whatever. Then another Mando. Like, split it up so there's time to, like, flush it out. And also, if for nothing else, see how the audience is reacting to certain things, certain people. Because, something I always go back to, Mando season 1 versus Mando season 2, the way that they conveyed how the Empire operates was complete opposite. Season 1, the Empire is like in hiding, they're like underground, and then you find out that they have like hidden bases of operations. It was cool because you're like, oh, the Empire is kind of like Rebels now. And then I feel like because they rushed everything, and it's like, we got to get to this First Order final story. Season 2 happens, and the Empire is still kind of the Empire, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of conflict between them in the New Republic. They're just their own thing, but they've got nice ships. They're running their own weapons across where rebels are jumping on the trains, the Bill Burr episode. So it seemed like if they could just take a break, see what people like. Okay, all right, let's change this. Let's do that. Okay, now we start the final, story writing process. Maybe. But
Archer, I'll revisit a question that I posed to you on our show in Good Taste Studios at For Those with Good Taste, if you're still listening. I asked you if all of the content that we're getting, and I asked you this as a fan, right? Not as a YouTuber or a podcaster. as a fan, is there a problem with too much content, and does it oversaturate our ability to take in the content? And that was a concern for me when watching Boba, as I felt like it was too quick after Mandalorian. And even I think Anthony made a mention of the Grogu and Luke segments of the episodes being resolved way too quickly, not allowing it to breathe. That was probably one of the biggest. You want to talk about Vince McMahon leaving money on the table? Grogu making his decision in 5 minutes and dipping out with the X-Wing fighter at first light. That's something that you need to have a year between, because I was trying to think to myself, okay, what references were made? Okay, Armor Mandalorian woman said that there was a Jedi Mandalorian, which we all know the storyline behind that, and it's getting more eyes on the Darksaber. Oh, okay. Is Grogu possibly going to be the next Jedi Mandalorian? Is he going to wield the Darksaber and have a really dope chainmail Beskar outfit, which they called a shirt? Super disrespectful. And why are we using chainmail? Like, we couldn't get him little platelets, a little jetpack. That was a really big Beskar spear, and I feel like we didn't get much for it. She was pocketing some of that shit off to the side. But those transitions kill the entire thing, because before we know it, Grogu's on Tatooine. There's no time for it to breathe. We're already going to expect to see them two together on season 3 of The Mandalorian. And it's, to your point, Naboo starfighters, Yoda's lightsaber showing up when we all know that it probably should be dead and buried somewhere. So many things being thrown out with us just expected to know it. For someone like Josh, who's not watched any of the animation stuff, Clone Wars or Rebels, for any casual fan, it's going to be difficult to stick to this show and keep caring if you just keep blowing through some of these things. And I think the question I asked you, but I didn't really let you answer it, are you getting tired of the oversaturation as a fan?
It depends on the franchise. It depends on the storyline. It depends on what's their end goal, I guess. So, did I mind having a Hawkeye and a WandaVision in the same year? No. But did I mind having WandaVision, Loki, Captain America and Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye? Yeah, because I'm like, you guys are overlapping even at this point. And it was actually, you reminded me as I look at his name here, as he says he's going to send in his resignation papers. Sal and I were talking about that, letting it sit, because we compared it to when Sting went from Surfer Sting with the bleach blonde hair to the Crow style. There was a year. It was a year. There was a little build up. There was lights would flicker randomly. You built that. Hey, where did Sting go? People forgot about Sting at the end by the time we got to that point. And that's like you were saying with the Grogu thing, let it sit. And yeah, those are the moments where I'm like, there's too much. I'm like, there's too much, and there's too many potentially emotional decisions being made. Like, they're sitting there, they're in the office, they're writing the story out. They're like, we need more money, we need more whatever. And it's like, but you gotta tell the story. You have to at least let the story play out, give it time, let it develop, whatever. And I know it's always going to be to sell toys. We all love the toys. We all love the collectibles. We love the shirts.
I think we all know you love toys.
Yeah, so I understand it. But, especially when you had the big miss of Grogu, that my friend Joel and I talked about it, because we, with Joel, it's always about sales. He's in sales. That's what he does. And we talk about the biggest miss being they didn't have Grogu merchandise in time for the reveal. And to their point, they were like, oh, we wanted it to be a surprise that you have Grogu. Well, yes, I understand you want that. But at the same time, you guys ultimately are trying to sell stuff. There's got to be a happy medium ground to fall in. But that, do I think there's too much? Yes. Do I want them to stop, though? No.
No, I would agree with you there. You don't want them to stop, but I'll pan back to a conversation that I think you had with Aaron where you guys were talking about like DC taking guns away from the Red Hood, and my eyes started twitching while I was listening to you guys. I was like, how do you do that? You can't do that. I see the oversaturation thing as just a way to move toys, to move merch, not as a way to prolong and advance storylines. And I feel like if we come from that understanding, we're not going to get upset and turn red like Anthony did when he was talking about how upset he was with Boba Fett. And I can understand the irritation and the frustration.
Yeah.
This is something that I think, you know, if you're a Boba Fett fan, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're expecting to see something big. And, you know, Disney's just not taking the risk that they normally would. They're doing the things that they know are going to make them money. They know that they're going to be able to say that Boba Fett gets to season 2 if they give you a little bit of Rancor action where, you know, he's has his King Kong moment where he's destroying the city. Boba gets to, you know, have his little playoff with, hey, this is my pet, I'm going to kill you with him. But at the end of the day, it does just kind of feel like this is happening so that we can get more product out there. Whereas us as fans, we want to see those storylines advance a little bit more.
Funny story for you, and then we'll wrap it up with a little UFC preview.
Could do this all day, dude.
Yeah. the Rancor reveal. So in the toy collector world, Hasbro has been doing this thing where they crowdfund certain figures and certain collectibles. Two very popular ones, actually. The Razor Crest, they crowdsource it. They call it the HasLab project. And what you do is they'll say, all right, this is the Razor Crest. It does all this. The pieces come out. You do whatever. If you guys back it, and if we get X amount of backers, we release it. And that's the only way you can get it. So people just now, like General Kenobi, actually, he got his Razor Crest about 2 weeks ago now, and the thing's amazing. The last one they did for Star Wars failed, and that was actually a Rancor. And the Rancor was it was the same one from Return of the Jedi, and they were asking for something like, I could be wrong here, it's been a while since I looked at it, maybe like $500. It's probably like $500, and there was nothing special about it. It was to scale. It was a 6-inch scale, but there was nothing crazy about it, and everybody was like, nah, you've taken our money. We all invested in the Ghostbusters Proton Pack. We all invested in the Razor Crest, a couple other things. So many things are back to back. And when they revealed the Rancor in the show, a whole bunch of us were like, timing, like absolute timing. Yeah. If you know that there's this Rancor thing happening down the road, maybe you tie that with the HasLab. Maybe you delay HasLab release. Maybe you say, you know what, we're actually going to change the color of that Rancor from brown to black because people may want the black Rancor from Book of Boba Fett. Add the ring in the nose. You're good to go. Like, there's not enough talking going on there, but you know, we can go on forever about that.
I just saw how sad you got as a toy collector.
Yeah.
When a toy that you can envision being so amazing and so incredible just isn't going to be made because people can't get their shit together.
It will be made. They will make that Rancor. Yeah. It will probably be, if I had to guess, 3 years from now it comes out. But again, too late. By that point, I wouldn't spend $300 on that Rancor like then, unless they do something crazy in the story. But at the same time, where am I even going to put that thing? Like, let's be serious.
That's a good problem to have, though. That's when you're like, I need to start making more money so that I can buy more property to fit my collectibles. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Exactly.
But I also think about, like, it could be worse. They could be like Funko, where Funko sometimes gets the timing like spot on, but then sometimes they completely miss it. And then sometimes they're just making stuff from 10 years ago and they're like, hey, do you guys care about this? And we're like, no. Man. Give me my Super Saiyan 4 Goku that I've been asking for like 5 years now.
Exactly. So as we wrap up, your thoughts on the main event for Saturday. You pull in Colby, you pulling Jorge. I think all of us are kind of on the same page, but you know, for the listeners out there, if you have to give how about this? Give your 2-minute pitch on why they should watch the fight Saturday with who you think will win.
Oh, I love these ones teeing it up for me. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for an event where two guys are going to smash their faces in because they've got a grudge match that is years in the making, and you're just looking to throw some money away to catch some good fights, this card is absolutely stacked. Lenny and I talked about how the top 4 cards may not have the name value, but stylistically, they're matchups that you're going to want to watch. And if you're so bored that you've got 4 hours to kill, it's definitely worth catching the prelims because we've got some up-and-comers showing up on that as well. But I would tell it to you like this: Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. You got 2 guys that are the baddest guys in that weight class. I would say probably 2 and 5, 2 and 6 out there that are coming into this knowing that they want to beat the hell out of each other. Bragging rights are on the line. This is a no respect, no love lost type of battle. And at the end of the day, it's either going to set one of these guys up for a 3rd title shot, or it's going to send the other guy possibly sending or signing the paperwork to get done as a title contender. So it should be interesting.
All right, my question. I've legit thought about this, and I haven't watched a lot of the press conferences and things I used to absorb back in the day. Somebody asked Hawani this week, do you think this is up there with the rivalries like Jones, DC, and I forget who the other person was they mentioned. And to me, I don't think anybody touches Jones, DC, unless you're talking Tito and Chuck. Like true, I want to murder this person if I see them in the street. I think this is a work. I truly think these guys do not hate each other the way that they're conveying it. I know they're trying to sell it, but I think it's a work. And people are like, oh, it's not going to end with them hugging each other. Or you're going to say that because you want them to sell. Do you think it's a work, or do you think they actually do not like each other?
I don't think it's a full-blown work, if I had to say that. I'm sure that these guys can't stand, hanging out or going to the gym together to train. But I don't think that there is genuine hate for each other. I think that, if you know Colby Covington, you know that unfortunately for casual fans, he has to kind of put on a facade to, get the audience. But it is one of those things where those two, if you watch interviews, if you watch them talk about each other, there is just a genuine discontent for each other. And I think when that sets up a fight, you're never going to have the caliber of John Jones in DC, because DC, his entire character changed when he was talking about John Jones. It came to the point where they almost came to blows at an interview, and you just don't see that happen with a guy like DC. And from John's point, he knew exactly how to push DC's buttons, and it really came down to calling him a crybaby to make him feel bad, where these guys are the real deal. I don't think Jorge Masvidal is going to be known for putting on an act. This is a guy that will two-piece and a soda guy and Leon Edwards backstage because he just genuinely doesn't like the way he's stepping to him. So I don't think it's a work. I think that it is something that's being played up more than possibly it is. But this isn't something where these two guys are going to get into a shouting match. These guys aren't going to come to blows at the face-off. This is going to be settled in the ring, which I think those are the rivalries or the fights that we want to see. I don't give a damn about a guy pushing somebody at the weigh-ins. I could care less about that. But when those two guys step into the octagon and there's the touch gloves moment, and those guys don't touch gloves and Jorge possibly flips them off, that's a moment that I think a lot of people can appreciate. And yeah, maybe if it's a 5-round war, these guys hug it out at the end, but that's just a matter of respect between fighters. I think these guys genuinely don't like each other. I think they genuinely are going to go in there and put hands on each other. And if it goes the full 5 rounds, I think we'll all be surprised how much damage is actually done.
Yeah. I want to see how it plays out. Am I going to buy it? No chance. But I'm curious to see how it plays out for sure. Shout out John Jones' wife for leaving him finally. Sorry, fiance. Freudian slip there.
That's one of the best turnarounds I think we've seen in sports this year, huh?
Yeah.
Glad to see they were able to make the right choice with that one.
I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, John Jones has had her as his fiance for probably random number I'm guessing here. I've had about 5 girlfriends since then. Like 5 different women I've dated where it's like, do you think John Jones is cute or not? Because he's my favorite fighter. And they see him, they're like, oh, he's all scarred up and whatever. Like, it's been like 5 people. That's how long it's been
hilarious.
fiance, and he will not do it. But shout out to her. Dude's gotten kind of crazy over the last couple of years, but that's what happens. You get punched in the head. Any last minute thoughts before we call it?
No, I was going to say that I think John Jones versus his fiance is the next big pay-per-view.
Somebody wrote that on Twitter too.
It will be interesting to see how long the holdout is for this contract. But no, hopefully that's all done and dusted. But I am interested to get your thoughts after the fight if you do end up catching it on a link or whatever it may be. I don't think Uncle Dana's getting his money from HeyArcher anytime soon. But other than that, man, I was really happy to get in here. I appreciate you for letting me talk some Boba with you. I feel like we could probably go like 2 or 3 hours in this.
Yes.
And I just feel like that's because I'm a long-winded talker, but I feel like it's been an awesome episode, man. I appreciate you for having me on.
No, that's the fun part about this YouTube thing is you just kind of you bring on people who like what you like, but they also have a ground to stand on. Like, you don't just blanket like the show. You don't blanket hate the show. You're like, this is why I like it. This is why I hate it. And I think that's what causes a lot of these conversations to go for hours, and they can go for hours. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But with that, of course. Oh, wait. Last question. I'm curious. I want to see if there's a tie here. Did you like The Last Jedi or did not like The Last Jedi?
I did not like The Last Jedi, but
Okay.
I appreciated it for what it was. And I think it was a good movie or a good bad movie. I'm not sure how you would want to say that.
Got it. I was curious. I didn't know if there was going to be a link between the two. People who like Book of Boba Fett and people like Last Jedi. Random thought. But hey.
No, I feel like that would be a bit of a stretch. I don't think those two things tie together. And if they do, I'm interested to hear the argument.
Not much of an argument, but I could send you some YouTubers if you want. But with that being said, thank you all for being here. K-Walk, even though you're late, it's fine. It's all right. HeyArcher Live every Thursday, 8:15 p.m. here on Nerd Affiliated. Matt is over at For Those Good Taste on YouTube. Matt and Lenny, For Those Good Taste at YouTube. And either way, we'll talk to all you nerds in the next video. Peace, nerds. I almost hit end feed before the song played out. So everybody, we'll talk to you later.
That's how you know it's a good episode.
There you go.